In its 50th year of competition, Maryland Gymnastics' season has been an up and down roller coaster. Statement meets at home and struggle on the road. But with this campaign less than halfway over, we'll dive into how the Terps can piece together more consistent performances during its most important stretch. Coming up on the Left Bench in Focus.
Considering all the changes we had to make today, I was really proud of them. Just needed to relax, and this was kind of the breakthrough that they needed.
Welcome to the Left Bench in Focus, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Ryan Martin, that's Drew Owens. And Drew, Maryland Gymnastics put up its highest point total of the season last time at Xfinity Center, but on Sunday against Michigan State, it was simply a different story.
Yeah, Ryan, the Terps continue to improve this year under 15th-year head coach Brett Nelligan, but in East Lansing this weekend for its only meet, Maryland just couldn't keep pace with Michigan State. Maryland traveled to East Lansing looking to get through the best team in the Big Ten, number 10 Michigan State, and it came down to the wire in this one. Starting on the bars, Tasha Brozowski stuck a beautiful landing, putting the Terps on the board. In comes Sierra Kondo, scoring a season-high 9.9. Moving on to the vault with Josephine Colger and Natalie Martin, both scoring a 9.85, which is a season high for Colger. Next up is Maryland's best event, floor. And who is it other than Alexa Rothenbuescher shining for the Terps, earning a 9.9, tying her with Michigan State's Nikki Smith for first in this event. Lastly, we've got the beam. Emma Silberman performed a double back handspring step out to a layout step out, earning herself a 9.875. But falls from Victoria Gatzendorfer, and Colger takes points from the Terps, and they drop this one 197.550 to 195.525.
With the struggles Maryland had at Michigan State now in the rearview mirror, the Terps can't afford to overthink the performance because the Big Five meet, their biggest competition so far this season, is right around the corner. On Saturday, Maryland Gymnastics will head up to State College, Pennsylvania, competing in its first quad meet of the season alongside conference foes Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, and host team Penn State. The Wolverines, Nittany Lions, and Fighting Illini all rank within the top 25 in the latest College Gymnastics Association poll. This gives Maryland an opportunity to prove it can score highly among some of the most talented rosters both in the Big Ten and nationally. After placing last in each of the last two Big Five meets, the Terps will be looking to improve at the competition with the first rotation set to start at 4:30 p.m.
As Maryland heads into the Big Five meet this weekend, we welcome longtime head coach Brett Nelligan to the studio for an inside look into the season and what's to come. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, we'll start with this right here. The team has bounced in and out of the top 25 a little bit this season. In your eyes, what do you think the biggest reasons for that fluctuation has been this season?
You know, I think we're still growing, and this team is so talented and worked really hard in the preseason, and that really showed. We opened up the season with the highest opening night score in program history, but I still think we haven't done our best gymnastics yet, and that for me is really exciting because when we put it all together, this team's going to be outstanding, and I think it's coming very soon.
Natalie Martin has only scored below a 9.8 once in her collegiate career. Can you talk about her success on the team and the overall outcomes that she has given you guys this season?
Yeah, Natalie's doing an incredible job, and you know, obviously through the recruiting process, we were very excited about her. She's so talented, and then all preseason she worked extremely hard, but when the lights come on in the arena, you see her go to another level, and that's something that I don't know if you can teach it or not. She just has it. I mean, she's that special type of athlete.
Yeah, Natalie's really come alive on beam too a little bit. Overall, the event of beam though has kind of struggled compared to floor, vault, and bars that we've seen. We counted 2 falls recently. Has that just been a point of emphasis to the meticulousness on beam as of recently?
Yeah, I just told them they need to relax. We're a very strong beam team, and I have nothing but confidence in all of our beam workers. We had a little bit of an off night last week at Michigan State, but beam is for sure one of our strongest events. They train so hard in the gym on that event, and I have no doubt they're going to put it back together this weekend.
Going into the meet this weekend, you're going against 3 top 25 teams. What are your words to the team to keep them focused this weekend, considering the competition they have to go against?
Yeah, and that's the thing this weekend. So far we've only had dual meets. So we're actually excited to get into a multi-team meet. It's a different kind of energy being in the arena with multiple teams. And all the teams in the Big Ten are great. I think every week we've been in a top 25 matchup. So our focus will be staying in we call it a bubble. We stay in our kind of zone, being mentally focused on just us as a team, not worrying about what other teams are doing, and just trying to put the best, highest quality gymnastics we can do.
And we're looking forward to seeing that high quality gymnastics coming up at the Big Fives. That's all the time we have for you today, Coach, but thank you so much for joining us. Excited to follow you along the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys.
Great.
You can catch the Big 5 meet on the Big Ten Network starting at 4:30 p.m.
As we mentioned earlier, Maryland Gymnastics is celebrating its 50th anniversary, but the history behind the program has been hidden for years.
TSC's Laura Shaughnessy has more on the history of Maryland Gymnastics. Laura?
Yeah, guys, we'll be taking a look at the rich history of coaches then and now, and one that was almost forgotten. Maryland Gymnastics was founded in 1973 with the help of former and first head coach Pat Danoff. The previous strategic communications assistant for the team, Mason Arneson, found that if you want to find more information on her tenure as a GymTerp, you might not find much. The record books had the 1976 season listed as one of the first of a team that would soon become rich in legacy and tradition. But Danoff initially started the program in 1973 after urging former athletics director Jim Kehoe to fund a women's gymnastics team. Danoff's first squad kicked off their first 2 seasons with winning records, the 1974 team finishing 5-3 and the 1975 squad ending with a 6-3 record. After her reign as the first ever head coach of Maryland Gymnastics, Danoff left the squad following the 1975 season, passing it on to coach Susan Mattern. Mattern led her squad to a 6-7 record for the 1976 season. Then the Nelligan legacy was born. Former head coach Bob Nelligan was only the 3rd coach in program history when he stepped into the role in 1979. During his reign, Nelligan achieved 18 NCAA regional championship appearances and had 18 winning seasons as head coach. Some of his awards during his 30-year tenure include East Atlantic Gymnastics League Coach of the Year and Southeast Region Coach of the Year. Despite his endless contributions for the team, Nelligan faced threatening program cuts at least 3 times during his career. The athletics department faced severe budget cuts over the course of several years that a new team with little support, like Maryland Gymnastics, fell victim to. Fortunately, the program survived. Once Nelligan was ready to move on from Maryland, he found a fit for his son within the program. Head coach Brett Nelligan had served as assistant coach to his father for 6 seasons before being named head coach after his father's retirement. His sister Kelsey Nelligan was a GymTerp herself and a senior when her father retired. Nelligan is now in his 15th season as head coach of the Terps and is the 4th coach in Maryland Gymnastics history. His overall coaching record lands him at 209 to 115-2. Nelligan has led the Terps to 7 straight NCAA regional appearances. He's got a lot of years under his belt, but is nowhere near done yet. Guys, under Nelligan this season, the Terps currently sit at 3-3 overall with the Big 5 meet ahead. He continues on the legacy of Maryland Gymnastics and I'm sure is making Danoff proud. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Laura. And yeah, Ryan, that's just crazy. I mean, you see the history behind all this, it's been hidden for years and now it's finally coming to light.
Yeah, when a lot of people think about Maryland Gymnastics coaches, they'll think of Bob Nelligan. We just talked with Brett Nelligan, but it really all started with Pat, and a lot of that history seems to be forgotten.
Yeah. And stay right here, because when we come back, we'll be joined by 3 Maryland gymnasts right here in the studio to talk about their season and play a fun game.
We'll also crown our MVP next season watchlist pick and choose our top 5 plays of the season. Don't go anywhere.
Children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years and I got my 3rd child who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, presented by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Ryan Martin alongside Drew Owens, and we've got some special guests to join us now, Drew.
That's right. We've got Alexa Rothenbuescher, Natalie Martin, and Taylor Reck all in the studio here. Girls, thanks for coming and joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Guys, first question that we'll start with. You guys are 6 meets now into your season, nearing that halfway point. Taylor, we'll start with you. Is this where you expected the team to be at this point in the season, and how or has not the team been able to get to where you expected at this point?
Yeah, definitely. So, we've worked really hard during preseason to get where we're at. I definitely think we're at a good spot with it only being 6 weeks. Right now, we're definitely rising each meet and focusing on the details to get better each and every meet.
Natalie, what do you think?
I couldn't agree with Taylor more. I feel like this team has worked so hard in the preseason, and right now we are just beginning to start what we're capable of.
I think we haven't shown exactly who we are yet, which is exciting because this team has showed so much potential up to the point we're at right now that I'm just so excited to see where we go further along in this season.
Now, Natalie, you've been putting up amazing scores this season. Now I want to ask Taylor and Alexa, how have the new class of freshmen impacted and contributed to this season this year?
They've been amazing. They each have a huge role on this team, whether that's supporting or being out on the mat, and each of them are really showing and shining, and I'm excited to see what more they can bring to the table.
Yeah, they've been great. I've loved having them in the gym. I've loved having them out on the competition floor. They're so encouraging, even just as freshmen. They might seem a little nervous and first being out there, but they've gone out there and shown it themselves.
Yeah, one thing that's really cool about this year's roster too, especially you three in particular, is you guys have all taken a big step up this year. Whether it's Taylor, who's on the leadoff spot for vault now, Natalie doing 3 events, then Alexa, you getting into the bars lineup. We'll start with Alexa on this one, but how has just taking that next step in this roster been so designed to anyone who needs to get that next step up, they're able to do it?
Yeah, being a senior, I didn't think I would pop into the bar lineup in my final year, but I think it's kind of inspiring to the younger freshmen who are maybe I'm not exactly that good at this event, but you just keep pushing and you'll get there.
Natalie?
I could not agree more. I feel like coming in as a freshman, having such a great team of veterans and having such big classes in front of us, they're amazing gymnasts, so it pushes you to be a better gymnast yourself because you want to make those lineups, of course. So I think it really brings out the best in everyone.
Yeah, like you said, taking on that lead-off role, it's definitely been hard at times, but I really have enjoyed it, setting up my team and being able to sit back and watch what they do after I do.
All right, now we're going to play a fun game called Who's Most Likely To. So we're going to pick out or ask you guys a question, and you guys can just spit out your answers and a little explanation why. So the first question, who is most likely to have the best pregame playlist before a meet?
I would say, honestly, Alexa.
I was going to say you.
I would say honestly, Alexa. We kind of made our pre-meet playlist together.
Yeah. Any song in specific?
Obviously what is it, Who Run This Town?
Oh yeah,
obviously that song, that's our intro video
my personal
song.
hype-up song is No Hands, so,
Yeah, I would say
I think that gets everyone going.
That is it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like Waka Flocka.
Yeah.
Next question, out of the teammates on your team, if you were on a deserted island, who are you most likely to want with you, and who are you definitely going to avoid having on a deserted island stranded with you? Natalie, we'll start with you.
Somebody that I wouldn't want, Gianna. Love the girl, but I don't know if she would quite be the most resourceful. Somebody that I would need on the island, either Tasha or Bella. I feel like they are very resourceful and could let us survive.
What about you, Taylor?
I was going to say that about Sam. I feel like she could definitely get us both to survive, and I'm sorry, Nat, I wouldn't take it.
I think I would take Liv or Bella. I think if something were to come at me, Liv would be the one to fight it off. And then Nat, sorry. It's okay, she's a little something sometimes.
All right, last question, kind of piggybacking off of Ryan's. If you were ever in need or stuck in an emergency, who would you not call, and who would be the first person you would call on your team?
I'd say the first person I would call is Emma. She always has a ringer on, so she would never miss it. And the person I wouldn't call is Sierra, even though she's my best friend. Her phone is always on Do Not Disturb, so I wouldn't trust her to pick up and save me.
Okay, this is kind of a hard one. If I was ever in a situation, probably T-Rec. She's just my mom. Somebody I wouldn't. I'm gonna have to go with probably Gianna again. She also doesn't have her ringer and she's not very quick with texting, but I love the girl.
Let's see. I think I would call Tasha. She's very like calm and probably would calm me down. And I think I wouldn't call Liv because sometimes she gets really overwhelmed and would probably spaz out and freak me out more.
It's good to know about the loss.
Really interesting and great answers.
That's all the time we have today, but thank you guys so much for joining us. Excited to follow you guys along at the Big 5 meet and then the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's time to name our MVP of the season, who is actually right next to us. We had to go with Natalie Martin, who's had a stellar first season here at Maryland. The 4-star recruit out of Westerville, Ohio, has made a name for herself in the Big Ten. In the meet against Ohio State, she posted career highs on beam and vault, scoring a 9.875, and on floor, scoring a 9.9. Martin was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week after her fantastic performances against then number 17, Minnesota, and Rutgers. The freshman currently leads the team in beam averages with 9.858 and vault averages with 9.85. Martin also averages a 9.837 on the floor, the second best on the team. Congrats to Natalie on being crowned our MVP.
Yeah, Drew, it's never too early to start thinking about who could be the Natalie Martin a year from now, and thinking about who could take that jump. The Terps will be watching for next season are Haley Merchant, Layla Hammer, and incoming freshman Maggie Murphy. Let's start with Merchant. The NC State transfer was set to be a fixture in the Bars lineup this season. But before traveling to Minnesota, Merchant suffered an ankle injury that's kept her out of the last 4 meets. So look for a healthy Merchant to have a big impact next season. Freshman Layla Hammer has been pulled up to scoring positions as of late. The Illinois native has been in the beam lineup for each of Maryland's 2 most recent meets, placing within the top 2 highest scores both times. And finally, remember incoming freshman Maggie Murphy's name for next year. The 3-time high school nationals qualifier will be seriously considered for spots in the floor and vault lineup when she gets to College Park.
All right, without further ado, let's get into our top 5 plays of this season. Ryan, get us going.
Yeah, Drew, we'll start at number 5, Joe Kogler with this beam against Westchester. Drew, opening meet of the season, but Kogler is in mid-season form here. We saw the gainer pike to come on the finish.
And then 4, we have another landing by Sierra Kondo on bars, 9.9. Just look at her turn, and she's sticking the landing. Bam.
How about the sensational freshman at number 3, Drew, a 9.875 on vault. Natalie Martin sticks as one using both legs. We'll take a look at that again. Boom, gets it to go.
Just well. And we have number 2, Alexa Rothenbuescher, always on the floor with a 9.95, the highest of the season. She leads the Turpin floor averages this season.
And number 1, what else besides Lindsay Batchelor's 9.9 on bars, a gymnast who's battled injuries throughout her career. The junior gets it done here, a big scorer and a bigger reason why. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Left Bench in Focus. Nathan Schwartz and Jonas Evans will be here at the desk on the Left Bench this Tuesday.
Be sure to keep up with all of Terrapin Sports Central coverage on X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
We'll see you next time.